Okay, what I did is I ended up putting Kelsey in a pair of pants, and I turned that sheepskin vest around so you can actually make it reversible. You're still going to see the stitching in there, but like I said, if you can work it out, you can make it look pretty nice, but it still is usable as a reversible vest. And it looks kind of cute with a regular pair of pants, and maybe if she had on a pair of, you know, a nice maybe navy blue blouse to go with this. So anyway, let me take this off of her, and we are going to make this same vest, only this time we're going to do it in the regular sheepskin. So here it is this way, and you can see all of the stitching along the bottom and the sleeves at the top. So we're going to make this. But what we're going to do is we're going to make it so that when you close it up, you're going to be able to overlap it and put two little buttons here to make it a button-down vest. So I took the pattern. I'm going to use the same back piece. I took the front piece of the zebra, and what I did is I traced it onto another sheet of paper, but this time I added about 3/8 of an inch. I think it's about 3/8 of an inch I came out. It's 1.5 centimeters and about 1/2 inch. Yeah, a little bit about 1/2 inch out, so that when we do make the fold on the vest, we'll still have enough to get a couple buttons in there. So if you find out that this, we'll find out when we make this, but if 3/8, every 1/2 inch is not enough, then you'll have to just go bigger. So I'm going to use just one of these. I'm just going to turn it over and cut it out the other way, and then this right here. Now as far as this little diamond on the bottom, what you want to do is just take that little diamond and trace it on a piece of paper and cut it out about, I don't know, maybe just enough so it'll match your turn under, and then cut a piece out like this, and that's what's going to be sewn on the back of your vest, just like this. Because like I said, we can't just cut and turn because we'll have an opening at the top, and we want that to be a solid piece. So if you want a bigger diamond in the back, then cut up and make a bigger diamond, because then when you do this, you don't have that turn in, because that's how small your, whatever this little diamond is, that's what it's going to be when you're finished, because you're going to sew this on top just like that. So if you want a bigger back diamond, just cut it bigger. Very simple. No, nothing to it. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to use the sheepskin. So let me see, I'm going to need this piece, the back piece, and I need one diamond. So go ahead and get your sheepskin out, and you know, like I said on the last video when we made the boots, there is a nap to this, and the idea is to find out where the nap goes. So the nap goes this way, so we want all of our pieces to go this way. So let me go ahead and put this here. Try not to use the selvage area right here on the edge, because you'll get that funny looking fabric, and you don't want that. So let me go ahead and put that with the grain. So you're going to need one back, two fronts, and that little diamond. And that little diamond, just try and fit it in anywhere you can. Let's see if I can fit that diamond somewhere in here. Let me see if I can fit it right here. Doesn't matter, we're not going to see the other side of it, so just fit it wherever it'll fit, and cut that out. Okay. Okay, see how I'm making these little wings on the top? And that's just going to give me a little bit of room where I can turn it under and make a nice little, without having to stretch the fabric. And that's all it is just giving yourself little wings. The reason I'm doing that is because I'm not using any facings. You don't have to worry about it on the bottom. Okay, so that's that one. Good enough. Okay, so there's your back piece. And we'll sew this, start working on this one before we do our first front pieces. So let's do this one. As far as your sewing machine, you're going to need, I'm just using regular thread. You're going to need a leather needle. It might say Leder, L-E-D-E-R, and that's just leather in German. But let's see, here we go. I'm using Leder leather, Schmitz, this one. If you don't have leather and you have jeans, that'll probably work too, but use a strong needle. I'm using leather on mine. So let's go ahead and start sewing that back before save some of these little pieces because you can use these for pockets, because for those fake pockets, you're just going to cut a little square off of these and then just sew them down. You know, this is not the right size, but you get the idea. You're just going to sew these down. It doesn't matter if it's got any flaw on the other side because you're not going to see it anyway, because you're just going to sew it straight on anyway. Okay, so let's get rid of this. Okay, so first thing I want to do is I want to sew this little triangle on. Let me move this over. Excuse me. Let me move this over here. So I got one of Kelsey's hair stuck in the sewing machine. Okay, so I am going to be using a straight stitch. So, and I'm going to go, instead of the normal stitch, I'm going to make mine a couple clicks longer so it's not such a tight stitch. Because you really don't need a tight, I mean, it doesn't matter. I just do it that way because it's easier to sew with a bigger stitch. Okay, so I'm going to take, let me see what you are in the, see how you are on the sewing. Let me see if I can move around so you get a better view. Okay. Sorry about the jiggle. My husband made a new stand for my camera stand, and it's still a little wobbly. Okay, where is my pins? Okay, so what you want to do is you just want to line that up. You don't have to pin it if you don't need to, but if you do need to, just pin it down so you know where you're going. We're going to use a zigzag stitch to put this on, and we're going to use a straight stitch. So we're going to start with the straight stitch. So go ahead and sew your straight stitch. I'm going to sew up, and then I'm going to sew down. I'm going to back stitch a little bit too, just so I can make sure the stitches doesn't come out. Okay. It's sometimes hard to see that you're sewing on the actual leather part of the fabric and not just the fur, but do make sure that you are on the leather part instead of the fur part, because otherwise it's just going to come right out. Okay, so far all we've done is sewn this to that. Okay, so now we're going to have to do something about this. See where the stitches are here? Here and here. Now we've got to do something with this, right? We can't have raw edges like this. So I'm going to go to a zigzag. I'm just going to use the factory setting on the zigzag, and what I'm going to do is any of these loose pieces of fur, I'm just going to pull them right off. Okay, so and they have static electricity in them. So if you have something you can use like a wet cloth or something that you can just, like a wet rag or something that you can wrap your fingers on and get rid of them. Otherwise they're going to stick, especially if you got static electricity in the room. Okay, so I'm just going to go straight up to where this seam is, and I'm going to zigzag it. Now this is going to be folded up, so you don't really have to worry about whether you backspace or not. And just make sure that it's catching both of your seams. Okay, go to the top of the diamond, bring it around, and then come right down the other side, right at the edge. Okay. Guess I've got to bring my sewing machine closer. I'm looking over too far away. Gotta bring my, sorry, my little trash basket here. Okay, so this is what we've done. We've just zigzagged here and here, and that now is the back of our vest. Okay, so now we want to do the neckline right here. So go right to the middle, pull it down, and put a pin on it. Don't clip anything. I started the original ones clipping, and I shouldn't have. Okay, so put a pin down the middle. Make sure you're using sharp pins. Now if you'll notice, I keep turning this, and that is not going to, it's going to come up like this. Do you see that? That's okay, because when we sew our top seam and then come down like that, it's going to hide it. So all you want to do is get this as straight flat as you can all the way around the neckline. So you're going to have that same thing here on the other side. Okay, no problems. That's what you want to. That's what you want to do it. That's how you want to sew it. So you're sort of like just sewing. You're facing down. Okay, let me check the camera again. Okay, so now I'm going to just go ahead and go back to my straight stitch. I'm going to add a couple clicks to it because I don't want it too tight. I mean, I don't want a really fine stitch. And then I'm just going to backspace on this one. I mean, you're going to have to backstitch a couple of times. Okay, so now that you've got that, turn all of your seams evenly under, so they all look uniform when you're finished with the jacket. Okay, when you get to the pin, lift your pressure foot up, bring this around, go down, and sew some more. Okay, turn it, bring it around, and sew. Okay, so there's your neckline. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do the arm seams. Okay, now this may feel a little tight or look a little tight, but by the time you get the shoulder seams in and everything else, it's going to lay just fine. Okay, so same thing with the arms. You want to come down here, and you're going to have the same exact thing on the arms. So turn this down. And then, because we had that little wing at the top, that should just about lay perfect on here. Just get it laid down as well as you can. Put a couple pins if you need to. And then we'll come around and get that on the way down. Okay, so same thing. Okay, make sure you got it in the right location. Swing it around. bring your pressure foot up, bring it down. You're going to have that little, but that's going to be covered with your side seams. So just keep sewing. Oh, I just dropped a pin. Okay, so that is your one side seam. It's laying as flat as it's going to, which is good. That's why I made that little wing on the top, so that I have just, you don't need much, just a little bit. And if you find out you gave yourself too much of a wing, then just go ahead and trim that so they're even. Okay, so I'm going to do the other arm. I'm going to cut out the two fronts, and then when I come back we'll keep assembling this vest. Okay.